Hey everyone, this week we're using prime lenses to do some landscape photography. So this week I've come out into the Peak District. It's right in the middle of heather season, it's blooming, it's great, it looks really purple and really thick and dense. But I wanted to put a little twist on things. I always like to give myself a challenge. So what I'm doing today is I'm just using prime lenses. So I'm going to head on up. We're at Nikkor in the Peak District, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the prime lenses that I've brought and the benefits and disadvantages of using prime lenses over zoom lenses. So it's getting into golden hour time right now, getting some really nice light up here on Nikkor, and there are so many good spots around here, but I've decided to stay relatively close to the top of the walkway which comes up from the road here, because there are some people down there and it's just a bit quieter here. And the lenses I've brought with me are my 50mm 1.8 Nikon Z lens. It's got autofocus, it's a Z lens, it works perfectly with the Z body. But I've also got with me a Samyang 1.4 85mm, that's only manual focus, but that should be fine when I've got it on the tripod. I've also got with me a 24mm f-mount lens, so I'm going to have to use the FTZ adapter for that, but that's fine. But I don't have with me a wide angle prime lens, so if I do need to go wide, I've got the 10mm 7 Artisans fisheye lens. So, well, I suppose that is a wide angle lens, but it's an unusual wide angle, but I can use that if I need to. Because I can't fit as much into the scene with the 50mm lens as I would with, say, a wide angle lens, I've had to come a little bit further back from my subject than I usually would. But that's okay, it's actually a good thing, because it forces you to think about what's actually in your scene and eliminate all the stuff that doesn't really matter and really focus on the important stuff. So right now I've got a nice clump of grass and a boulder in there, and I've got everything in the background with the mountains and the sun coming down over that. I think that's quite a nice composition. And don't forget, you can also piece together a panorama, so you can take multiple shots with your 50mm moving along the horizon, and then you can put those together in post-processing later to create a wide-angle shot. So the major disadvantage of using a prime lens over a zoom lens is that you don't have that versatility of being able to zoom in and out and choosing different focal lengths. So if you've only got one lens with you, you're going to have to use that focal length. I've brought more than one today, so I have got a few options there, but obviously the more you bring, the more weight you're carrying. But on the upside, it does force you to really focus on your subject. So if you've only got one lens that's 24mm, for example, you don't need to worry about shots in the distance or the middle ground. You're just focusing on wide angle shots. So that can really help simplify things and help you to get a better image that way. But also it forces you to be more creative and really think about your shots a lot more and your composition. So there are definitely advantages of only having one focal length. So the benefits of using a prime lens over a zoom lens are firstly that they tend to be a bit sharper. Because they're more simple in construction, they don't have as many glass elements in there and things as a zoom lens. They tend to be able to be a little bit sharper, particularly in the middle of the lens. But you have got to factor in the cost of the lens, how new it is and things like that. So for example, this old AFS 24mm prime, that's not going to be as sharp as my 24 to 70mm Z lens, for example, even though the 24 to 70mm is a zoom. And the other benefit is size and weight. So primes tend to be lighter and smaller than zooms. But once again, you've got to think about the lens itself. So I've got a 50mm 1.8 Z lens. That's around about the same size as my 24 to 70mm f4 Z lens. Of course, the 50mm has got a 1.8 maximum aperture, whereas the 24 to 70 has only got an f4. If you were to get the 2.8 24 to 70mm, that's much bigger than the 50mm. But most of the time, for landscapes, you don't need that really wide aperture. So it can sometimes pay just to take a 24 to 70mm f4 rather than the prime. So I am finding that for a lot of shots, I want to include a bit more foreground interest, which means that I need to go with a wider angle lens so I can get up close to that subject in the foreground and still fit the rest of my scene in. So I have switched to my old AFS 24mm, but it's not the best of lenses by any stretch of the imagination. It suffers from a lot of flaring issues, and it's definitely not as sharp as my 24 to 70mm Z lens. But hey ho, that's what I've got, so I'm going to do the best we can with it. So the sun's gone down now, behind the horizon, but there's still some really nice colours in the sky. And it's actually quite nice when it gets to blue hour. Because golden hour is great, obviously, you get that really nice golden light. But the problem with the orangey yellow golden light is that it really messes with the purple blues of the heather, and I think it kind of alters the colour of it in a weird kind of way. Whereas when you get to blue hour, you really see the purple and blue of the heather. And also just behind me, you can see the moon, so I got a good shot pointing that way with the moon in it and some of the heather. So it always pays to stay for blue hour and also look behind you as well instead of just into the sunset. Really some fantastic colours still though, so still more shots to be had. Alright, so I'm back down now in the car. It is quite dark, so I hope you can see me. It's been a real challenge this evening, as I knew it would be, with the prime lenses having to change so often. That was taking up so much time and it just felt like the sun was going down really quickly. The main thing was using the 24mm, the old AFS f-mount lens. It just really struggled when shooting directly into the light. It doesn't have the coatings of the new lenses, I think, and it was really suffering from flare. And I'm not sure how good those images are going to be, but I didn't really have many options when it came to wide angle. I did have the 7 Artisans fisheye, and I got some decent shots with that, I think. So you should have seen them throughout the video anyway, if I got any good ones. And if there are any more, I'll put them on screen now. So that's about it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, just give me a thumbs up just down below. Massive thanks to everyone who watches each and every week. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed and you'd like to do so, you can always click down there on the big red button or over there on my face. And that way you'll keep up to date with everything I'm doing each and every week. There's a new video every Sunday morning, 10 AM UK time. So I hope you'll join me next week for the next one. But until then, thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.